All right, so here's what we're going to do today. Today's going to be a bit unique in that we would do the drawing for a winner for the $4,200 VIP ticket to Vegas for two. And this morning I woke up and thought how much fun it would be is if we gave away next week. So we're gonna go live next Monday, and we're gonna give away, instead of one winner, so we could either do again one winner for $4,200, or I thought I'd be a bit crazy and give away $22,000 next Monday. So $22,000, and how we're gonna do that is instead of giving away just one ticket and having one winner for $4,200, which again is VIP tickets for two, August 25th through the 30th, I decided to have 10 people drawn, so 10 winners. Spread out the wealth, if you will. 10 winners, and those 10 winners are going to get a VIP ticket for two, each winner. VIP ticket for two, which again is $4,200, and we're going to go ahead and take $2,200 off. So basically, it'll cost you $2,000 for the ticket, which is normally $4,200. So we're going to give away a 10 tickets, 10 winners. You have to be present to win. So if you're not on July 8th, which is this next Monday, you will not win. As you guys know, we've already had a couple people not join us and miss out on a couple $1,000s. So this Monday the 8th, make sure you're on the live, 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific for those that have trouble doing the math, 12 o'clock Mountain Time, 12 o'clock Mountain Time. I told you, Sierra, I'm having trouble talking today. 20 dwarves took turns doing okay, the $100. Whoever guesses this right, it can't be you two. We already talked about this. All you have to tell me is which movie this is off of for $100. All right? 20 dwarves took turns doing handstands on the carpet. 20 dwarves took turns doing handstands on the carpet. And the winner for that, $100. So let me know if somebody wins that. All right, so next Monday, the 8th, we're going to give away $22,000 worth of value for the event in Vegas, August 25th through the 30th at Palms. And so what it's going to be is VIP tickets for two, which gives you the welcome reception on top of Apex, gives you amazing seating. And instead of paying $4,200 for two people for those VIP tickets, you're paying $2,000. I'm giving you $2,200 off for 10 lucky winners. Today, in order to qualify, all you have to do today, by the way, we had like 11 or 12 of you guys that actually qualified last week, which is crazy to me. All you have to do to qualify this week is share this video now. So share this video, and if you share this video, you will get your name in the drawing for next week. Now, some of you guys have like 13 or 14 names in that drawing already because every single week you come on and compound for your qualification. Somebody win? JJ Cruz. JJ Cruz, the fastest person on Google. Bugsy, one of my favorite movies. You did?
I did.
Yeah, you did because I told you.
No, I guessed it.
Sierra, whose side are you going to be on here? All right. Good job. Good job, JJ. All right. So today, if you have the ability to, take some notes. Take some notes. And I want to see your feedback. Nothing irritates me more than we go live. And like last week, we had 211,000 people that we engaged with on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope. And literally, we had like 200 comments. So I want to see your comments. I know you're interacting. I know you're actually plugging into this thing. I hate society for one reason, is everyone is so easily distracted. And because I can't see you, a lot of you guys are watching this, doing other things, not paying attention, checking your email. I want you to pay attention if you're on here. If you don't want to pay attention, just drop off. It's not worth sitting here. This is not like when you were in high school and you thought you could read your history book by osmosis under your pillow, right? You actually have to participate. If you want to change something, you have to participate. And actually taking notes, if you're taking notes and writing things down, even if you don't ever go back to those notes, you'll remember 3 times more than if you're simply just being a passive listener. So actually, if you're not taking notes, type in the chat window. Come back to this later if you need to, but take some notes about today's content. These are 2 components, 2 things that drastically changed my life when I was 18 years old. And if you can apply these and you can become obsessed, you can create some amazing things. So let's start with the first one, which is very easy. The bulk of my conversation is going to be the latter part of this. But the first part of this is 21 days to form a habit. 21 days to form a habit. So I'll first say this. People think that certain people are lucky, that they wake up and they have success just comes to them. Understand that people are not more talented than you are. They have better habits than you have. They have better routines than you have. And they get themselves to take action when they don't feel like it. The key to success is not taking action. The key to success is taking action when you don't fucking feel like it. That's the difference between good to great, between great to amazing. Do you feel like every professional athlete that's done an amazing job and in the top 5 athletes of all time, do you think they felt like every single day Michael Phelps? Do you think he felt like working out 11 hours a day in the pool for 9 hours of that time and eating 10,500 calories every single day? Trust me, he did not feel like it. But the end result was worth it. He was willing to pay the price. You've got to create habits in everything you do. Right now, you're on autopilot. Most of you are on autopilot. You have this synapses in your brain. When something happens, here's how you react to it. And in most cases, when you think you should do something, you hesitate. Because you hesitate, you create this perpetual motion of hesitation in your life. Versus what the greats do, what I do. I can put myself in that category because I don't feel like doing it a lot of the times. I don't feel like doing the things that I push myself to do, but I do it anyway because the results are worth it. So in 21 days, this is what they've looked at. I've seen numbers back and forth, but on average, it takes 21 days to form a new habit. And so what you want to do is you want to think about the person that you want to be, the person you want to become. What habits would that person have? So if you wanted the body of a goddess or a rock star, what would that person do as far as their habits? They would work out every single day. They would eat healthy. They make different decisions. And so what you have to do is create these habits, whether it's business or personal, create habits so you can be a bit on autopilot, but those habits will guide you. Because after 21 days, you now have rewired your brain with a new pattern when you get into a certain situation of how you're going to tackle that situation. So it takes 21 days to form a habit. So first you think about who do you want to become and why do you want to be that person? So what do you want what do you want your life to be? So if you had to write a book of basically who you are as a person and not just who you are now, but who you want to become, who is that person, and then come back to what are the habits that you would need to have in order to be that person? What are those habits? Once you identify those habits, then why are you going to do it? What's the payoff for doing this? What's the payoff? And the payoff has to be more. The pain of pushing yourself and you don't feel like it has to be less than let's just say the pain of you not doing it has to be greater than the pain of you doing it. Because you're not always going to feel like it. I didn't feel like going to the gym this morning. I didn't feel like necessarily coming on to here today. I had other things I needed to take care of. I've got several contracts. I know I've got another 11 hours worth of video and calls to do today. I didn't feel like it. But you know what I did? I did it anyway because I have the habit of taking action. So once you create this habit of what you want to do, let's say I'm going to go back to working out. So let's say you said, I've got to work out at least 6 days a week. First, you have to become obsessed. Don't even give yourself that day off. 7 days a week for the next 21 days, you need to get your ass out and walk. Get your ass out and go to the gym. For 21 days straight, if you miss a day, guess what? You now start from day one again. You're starting at ground zero. And every habit you have, you've got to get yourself to carry out for 21 days straight. You've got to get yourself to take action for 21 days straight to form that habit and to lock it in. Now, it's not going to be all of a sudden on autopilot every single time you have that habit now locked down. You're now done. That's like saying I went to the gym 21 times, worked my biceps out. If I just quit working out, my biceps are going to look good. And I'm going to have that same muscle. You're not going to. You have to keep flexing that muscle and keep straining that muscle and pushing yourself no matter what. But what it will do is let you know that you're in control of your brain, and it'll allow you to create momentum in your life. So 21 days to create a habit. That's the first thing I want to point out. How many of you guys have changed your life and have actually applied this? And you can do this in every area of your life. Tackle one area, tackle 3 areas, but write down what you're going to commit yourself to do and then schedule it. You've got to schedule it. You've got to put it into your schedule. And as I mentioned, is any time you don't do it that day, and you got to stretch even past what you normally would do. So as I mentioned, if your goal is at least 5 days a week to work out, I want you to work out 7 days a week for the next 21 days. If your goal is to do something for your business, or your goal is to do something in your relationships, I expect you to go the extra mile and push yourself for 21 days, no exceptions. If it's eating healthy and you all of a sudden you're sitting there watching television at night and you grab a whole bag of chips and finish the damn thing off, or you eat a huge bowl of ice cream you know you shouldn't, and you have the habit of walking away from the sugar intake every single day, or if it's cutting out caffeine, whatever it might be, you can change your life. You're simply only a few habits away from a whole different life. So I want you to go over the top. What are some of the habits you guys have been able to do? I want you to type in the chat window, hi Jenna, some of the things that you've done and changed a habit to a positive way. What are the routines that you have that have changed your life? Now, some of you have gone to the past events that I've done, have done amazing things. I talk about John Clayton all the time. John has done some amazing things because of creating new habits in his life. I want to see what some of those habits are and what you guys have been able to do. So that's the first thing. 21 days to form a habit. Identify the person you want to become and simply force yourself to take action. You guys remember me talking about Mel Robbins, the 5-second rule? It's probably the most profound, simple things. As I mentioned before, complexity is the enemy of execution. Again, complexity is the enemy of execution. The more complex you make things, the least likely you're going to actually execute and take action. So you want to make this very, very simple. I'm going to work out every single day at this time per day, every single day. I'm going to do it for 21 days to form a habit. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to do this. Here are my meal structures. Here's what I'm going to do. So whatever it might be, you need to, you can count backwards in your mind, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Before it's 1, you take action. The first thing all of you guys should do is never hit snooze on your alarm clock. I know when I met Bree, she had 13 alarm clock 13 different things that wake up at 7 o'clock. She's saying, ask Caleb and Rachel about sharing a room for an event. She has an alarm clock that goes off at 5:30, alarm clock that goes off at 5:45, alarm clock that goes off at 6, and then 6:15, 6:20. And somehow she thought she was benefiting herself. Instead of just saying, I'm going to get up at 6:30 and hitting an alarm clock and getting your ass out of bed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it anyway. I don't care whether you feel like it, don't feel like it, you do it anyway, and you'll start creating the synapses in your brain that when you hesitate, you're going to take action. When you tell yourself you want to do something, you take action. If you give yourself a way in or a way out, you're going to take it. So for 21 days, if you mess up on day 19, you're now starting at day 1 again. You've got to do that for 21 days to get that muscle in motion and to create that habit. Once that habit's created, you got to still work that muscle out, but not near as hard, and your brain's not going to fight you as much. Looking at some of these great things here. I know what the Snow White's about. I'm just going to miss that comment, Bruce. Oh, the movie thing, Snow White. All right, I'm scrolling down. All right, how many of you guys have shared this video, by the way? I'm seeing a lot of you haven't shared this. I don't know if any of you guys like Vegas or the Sunshine or Lady Antebellum or watching me on stage, but all you got to do is share this video. So all you got to do is share this video today, and your name goes in for next week, the $22,000 we're giving away. All right, let's go to part 2 of this, which is 90 days to change your life. And I'm going to give you actual examples for me of how this has changed my life. And if you guys remember last week when I talked about, actually it was 2 weeks ago before the Ask Kori, when I talked about creating wealth part 2, is it's not whether you're going to make $1 million or $5 million, some of you guys $10 million over your lifetime. It's about how do you compress time. How do you compress time to make more money now so that money's working for you in investments, etc., to build and create wealth? So it's about compressing time is what we're talking about today. So one of the lessons I learned, my mentor taught me this concept called 90-day burst, he called it. 90-day burst. He also called it working hard for a season. And what it's about is that you can truly change your life in 90 days by creating so much momentum behind what you want to do. 90 days can change your life. I'm going to talk to you about what this is all about. I'm not going to go into the massive action plan as much, but I want you to take notes on this. Come back to this if you have to. This is the most profound, probably conversation that I've had with all of you guys that will change your life if you understand how to make this work and get yourself to create momentum behind what you're doing and learn how to compress time. So let's talk about this a little bit. So in the last 28 years, I will tell you that, again, building sales teams, being in front of now, over 250,000 people that I've spoken in front of. And this is probably, again, the most profound thing that I've learned is this word called momentum. And creating a 90-day burst, which means a sustained, all of you that are watching this could put yourself in almost any situation. It's amazing to watch the human body of what you can do for a short burst of time. So if I told you could change your life in 90 days, but you have to pay the price like you've never paid before, work harder than you've ever worked before, but that 90-day burst will create momentum that over the next several years you're going to benefit from that. My MO, so you guys all know, before the company that I started now, my MO from my 20s to now pretty much was I would get involved in something, I would work hard for a season or compress time, I would start with this 90-day burst, I would then put a lot of energy and time in for a couple of years, I would sell the company, or I would sit back and actually enjoy the residuals off of that concept that I've created. Well, this concept will change your life if you utilize this. So let me talk about the things that the 3 or 4 times that this has worked for me. So I started this first time I did this. I worked with my mentor and put together the concept, and I did this back in 1992. All right, 1992, and I was right out of high school. I was 18 years old. And September, I got out, I think, in May of that year. And then September of 1992, I did my first 90-day burst. 90-day burst. Now, in that first, this was October, November, and December of 1992. And from the initial 90-day burst, over the next 8 months, I worked like my life depended on it. I'm sorry, the next 3 months. I worked like my life, I didn't do anything else but focus on that business, the income-producing activity for that business for 90 days. Just a push like there was no tomorrow. My idea was, could I compress 1 whole year in 90 days? That was my goal, is 1 full year of energy within 90 days. And from that initial 90-day burst, over the next, I didn't make hardly any money the first 90 days, but the momentum from that carried out that within 8 months I started making significant money. Over the next year from that, so 8 months, fast forward for the next year, my 1099 for that year was $340,000. And the following year was over $1 million in income, my first $1 million grossing year before taxes. And that happened, I attribute almost all of that growth to that initial 90-day burst. And what I was able to do is teach my entire team how to do this short period of intense, focused energy, like a laser focus, and how they could change their life the way that I changed my life by this initial 90-day burst. And those that focused on it and did it created this huge momentum for my business. And over the course of the next 6 years, I had more money coming in, honestly, per month than most people made in a year because of that initial 90-day burst. Now, the second time this happened, you guys know my story, is I basically made a shit ton of money, lost almost everything in traditional business investments, didn't learn how to invest my money, save money, didn't focus on the taxes I was paying. And honestly, I lost almost everything that I had. And so in 1997, I started this internet startup company. And from 1997, I did this 90-day burst. This actually was in April of 97. I had to go back and do this for my prep for the meeting here today with you guys. And it's kind of cool to watch this anomaly of this 90-day burst and how it's impacted my life. So in 1997, I started this focus, this internet company. I didn't have a website worth a damn. I had a quick website. I didn't even have anybody working for me. But I created this idea of being able to help companies and help people with their online presence, and I knew nothing about it. And I sold, and basically I made $37,000 my first month. By the 90 days was over, I think I had closed just under $75,000 worth of commission after all expenses. And I built from that to within 3 years, that was worth almost $3 million worth of value, of net worth. And that was because of that 90-day push. The third time this happened for me that I really did this compressed time in a 90-day burst was in April of 97. In April of 97, when I started my current company, Energy Network, is I went out for the initial 90 days, I literally didn't sleep. I had for those 90 days, I was sleeping about 3 to 4 hours a night, which is crazy. But you can do almost anything for 90 days if you believe in something big enough and strong enough and you want something enough to create something. Is I created so much momentum in that 90 days period of time. Started in January of 2011. January of 2011. And that 90-day burst transformed over the next 5 years to now where we've been in business. Next year will be, in October of next year, will be 10 years. It'll be 9 years here coming up. And to create a company that's now managing, several $1 billion worth of energy spend, almost 15% of the entire Mexican market, having, nearly 350 sales reps, a company that, we've taken, about 4% of our people to over $1 million in income residually. In fact, our top income earner, John Weems, is probably watching this. John has just passed $10 million in gross commission in the last 6 years. A company that within the next decade will be worth over $1 billion. And I can attribute almost all of that looking back to that momentum that I created with that initial 90-day burst. And I actually periodically will do another burst of 90 days before an event. For example, we're doing a big push right now before the event we're doing in Vegas. But these were the compressed, no sleep, just focus on what I got to do for 90 days that has taken me in my career these 3 pushes to where I am today. All right, so this can change your life. You can go from nothing to amazing by putting in a 90-day burst and having that carry over momentum from that 90-day burst. So let me talk about a few myths first. These are the myths you have to get out of your mind. So you guys have heard the myth that slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. That's bullshit. For the turtle and hare thing, whatever you want to believe, that's fine. It doesn't work. The example I'll give you is, let's say you're in an airplane, and the airplane decides it's got to take off, right? The airplane's got to have a huge burst of energy to take off. So imagine you're on the runway. You've got a pilot sitting there at 20% speed. You're going to like, what the hell's going to happen here, because I'm going to hit the end of the runway and not take off. That airplane has to go to 100% on the runway for a short burst of time. Once it's in the air, it can back its throttle down to 20% and still stay in the air. If you're a rocket, for example, a rocket uses how much energy at the beginning to take off? How much energy does it use? I mean, it uses almost all. So if it wants to go, let's say, to the moon, it uses 97% of all of its fuel just taking off from the gravitational pull of the Earth. That is the way business works as well. You have to go out and put in 120%, right, of energy at the beginning to create momentum. The second thing is, people always use the other term, if I'm plugged in and just don't quit, eventually I'm going to succeed. Again, if I just plug into something, I don't quit, I keep plugging away at it, I'm going to make it happen. You're not. You're going to burn out before you make it happen, because you do not have momentum behind your business. I'm going to come back to the analogy of a hand pump. So imagine if you have the old-fashioned, the hand pump, where you have to pump on that pump, and eventually water will come out, right? So imagine you have your hand on that pump, and this is what most of you guys are going to do when I talk about what it takes. I haven't talked about the ingredients yet of this 90-day burst. You guys say, oh, this sounds great. I can make all these things happen. But I haven't told you the shit you're going to have to do if you want to pull this off. So imagine most of you, again, you're sitting there and you pump on that crank, and you do 2 or 3 pumps for 2 or 3 days to create some momentum, right? You've got to focus for 90 days, and you do this 3 or 4 pumps, and you let your hand off of that pump. What's going to happen? All the water's going to fall right back to the bottom. You got to start over again. You start pumping. You do 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row. You let your hand off of it, and all that water goes. All the momentum you created is now gone. You have to put your hand on that pump. You got to keep pumping till water comes out. Once water's coming out, then it becomes easy. It's kind of oxymoron in business. I mean, I love this, how it's almost reversed. When you're working the hardest, you're going to make the least. When you're working the least, you're going to make the most. I mean, you guys were on the live I did last week, the live question and answer, and I think we made $160,000, $150,000 while I was on. I didn't even know about it. We have so much momentum in our business that these things happen without me even knowing about it. I mean, it's pretty cool. $400,000. Thank you. Yeah, $400,000 last week while I was live. So, but if I would have gone out the first month or so and pumped on that pump, and then let off, all that water goes back to under the bottom. My mentor used to also have another analogy, or something he would say, which I loved. He says, so many people are looking for that proverbial pot of gold. They're looking for that proverbial pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but very few people will be willing to stick with the rainbow long enough to find the pot. People are always looking for the next big thing they want to do, the next thing that excites them, instead of just realizing if I work my ass off wherever I'm at, I can make some amazing things happen. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write these things down, the 3 ingredients that I have found. If I have to take all of the things that create success, what are the 3 ingredients that I need to succeed? And those 3 ingredients are: success loves speed, success loves momentum, and success loves massive action. Those 3 ingredients, this is what it takes: speed, momentum, and massive action. The analogy I'll use again is a snowball. You sit there and you start that snowball rolling. Once that snowball is rolling, you've got an avalanche. But you've got to start that snowball, and it takes time to form the snowball, get it moving, or a train. You start with a train. Imagine if a train starting on a track at 20%, you're never going to move that train. Those that are in the railroad now understand this. You've got to take in full throttle that train until the wheels, because all the weight of that gets moving. Once momentum is there, it's very easy. You can pull back on the throttle, and that train's going to keep moving. That is what you want to do with your business, is this 90-day burst to get yourself on the map and to create so much momentum and speed, and taking that massive action you're putting in and creating this force, or this tidal wave that nobody can touch. So let's talk about this, the 3 steps to making this happen, this 90-day burst. So step 1, you're going to have to have a big enough reason to do it. You're not going to pay the price. And when I tell you what it's going to take to make this work, some of you guys are going to say, oh, shit, I'm going to drop off now. I'm going to tell you what this takes. Sounds great in theory, but when the rubber meets the road, as Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a great plan until they get hit in the face, right? When you first start doing this, it sounds great in theory. You're going to get hit in the face with business and people pushing back at you. And all those things, these ideas you had in your head are going to be gone. So you've got to have a big enough reason to do it, to push through the pain of making this happen. So you've got to sit down. What are my goals? Why are you going to do what you're about to do? So write these down. Why are you going to do it? Why are you going to do it? What are you doing this for? What are you doing this for? What is the end game? If I do this for 90 days, what's my end game? What's my results? Or the next year from that initial push? And if you could accomplish anything over the next 90 days within reason, what would that vision be? So if you could accomplish anything in the next 90 days, what would that vision be? So your goals must motivate you to make the sacrifice. My goals are so freaking large, if I would tell a single soul, they would think I'm fucking crazy. That's how big my goals were. My goals were that big that I knew that I would sound crazy. If your friends and family and people that are around you don't think you're crazy, you're not doing something right. Because their life is not what you want, I guarantee. Most of you don't have friends and family, those that are pushing back at you, that you want to be where they're at. You want something amazing. And to be amazing, you have to be addicted. You have to be so excited about what you're creating that no matter what comes at you, you're willing to pay the price. That's step number 1, is what are your goals? What are you going to accomplish and why? Step number 2 is a pre-launch. Pre-launch is as important as your 90-day burst. Why do I always over-enunciate certain words? Important. All right. So important. This is very important. Is you have to do this pre-burst. Some of you guys said, this sounds great. I'm going to start next week. I'm going to go ahead and do this 90-day burst. You're going to fail. You got to set things up. Get your house in order. You get your house in order by doing these things. Number one is you have to prepare of what activities you're going to do over that 90 days and have enough leads or enough, for my business, it's only comes down to these income producing activities. So for you, what are the income producing activities for your job or your business or your company or your career? What are the things that make you money? For my business, it's simply making phone calls, sending emails out, and following up. That's the only thing that actually makes you money. So those are the only things I want to do for the time I'm putting in. Everything else is setup. And so I need to have, if it takes me all of the month of July, for example, if you want to make this happen, so you schedule the whole month of July just to get all of your affairs in order to do this 90-day burst. You've got to cut. My head's getting cut off on this video, I'm noticing. I'll scoot down. I'll just scrunch. Perfect. I'll arch my back. We're all right. My hair actually looks good today. I don't know why you wanted to cut it out. Sorry, guys. Do we have a droopy camera? I'll scoot back. There we go. Hold on. Little technical difficulties. At least it wasn't like this. Like Wilson. Remember Wilson and... Oh, yeah, it's true. Hi. Hi, guys. All right. 200,000 people wondering what the hell we're talking about. All right. That's the whole point. You can't give a shit. You can't care what people think about you because you don't care about them anyway, honestly. People spend all this money and time and energy on people you don't really care about because somehow you think you have to impress them. That's bullshit. All you have to impress is yourself. You're going to be crazy. You're going to be labeled as crazy, but I would rather be crazy. And what's funny is once you succeed, they'll think you're lucky. That's just amazing how that works. All right, so you got a pre-launch. You got a pre-launch, a pre-burst. Figure out what are the income-producing activities you need to be doing over this 90 days, and you do nothing else. Nothing else. So step number 2 is pre-launch. So what are the income-producing activities, number 1? Number 2 is put together a map or a massive action plan. A map or a massive action plan. Number 3, you've got to get your family behind you. You've got to put together a family meeting. Because your kids, your significant other, they're not going to understand this. They're not going to understand it. You got to say, listen, I'm going to be putting in more time than I've ever put in before. I've got to cut out every single thing else in my life for this 90 days time frame. And so I'm going to have to do all of these things, and I need you to get behind me because if I do this, here's the payoff. Here's what we can do if we do this 90-day push. So you've got to set yourself up for success by getting your family behind you because you want them motivating you, pushing you, versus pulling back on you. Okay, so you got to have a family meeting so they're all behind what you're going to do. Technical difficulties on Instagram or what? So Instagram, hoping you're good at reading lips because you probably didn't hear anything we just talked about. Okay, perfect. And then number 4, arrange to shut out any distractions. Every single thing else you're doing, you've got to shut that off, whether it be watching the television, watching movies, going to movies, going out to eat, all the things you can be doing. You've got to shut out all distractions for 90 days. Shut those out. And that's when you officially can decide, here's my game plan, here are my leads, here's what I'm going to do, here's my income-producing activities, my family's behind me, and here's my schedule. And you've got to lock and load that schedule for 90 days. It's not for the faint of heart. Very few people can actually do this. I'm telling you, you've got to have a big enough reason why to pay the price this hard and heavy that I'm talking about. But this will change your life. This will put you on the map if you're willing to do this. But once you get to the 90 days, you can't stop. You got to keep the pump going because then the momentum of what you've started, you've got to keep carrying that and getting bigger and bigger and bigger with your momentum to compress time. And those 90 days, if you do this correctly, those 90 days could technically give you 2 years of what you could create. And because of the momentum of it, it magnifies those results. So step number 3 is massive all-out action. So, I mean, I've had to negotiate. I had to negotiate with my family every single time I do this and loved ones, et cetera, to say, listen, for the next 90 days, I'm not going to be available as I normally am. For the next 90 days, I'm going to be working as many hours as I possibly can handle. Every single waking hour that I'm available, I'm going to be working this. For the next 90 days, I'm not going to go to movies, not going to go to restaurants, not watch television, not surf on the internet. I'm not doing anything but this game plan for 90 days. You've got to be willing to pay the price that much. That much. Now, for me, let me tell you what this 90-day burst was. I want you to write this down. You guys are this is where you're going to spit your coffee out if you're drinking coffee. Some of you guys that are drinking other beverages, watching this later at night, you're going to spit your beverage out. This is what it took for me. If you're part-time, so part-time means you already have another job, and you're doing this on the side, your side business or your side endeavor. You put in 8 hours for your job. You got to put in 8 hours a day, at least 6 days a week. 8 hours a day, at least 6 days a week. I'll say this again. You worked 8 hours for your job. You got 8 more hours to put in for your business. 8 hours a day, 6 days a week is what this burst is about. Say this again. Part-time is 8 hours a day. For me, full-time was 16 hours a day. 16 hours a day. And that was, basically, every single day I would start at 8 o'clock in the morning. I would work out before then, believe it or not. 8 o'clock in the morning, I would not get done until midnight. And from 8 in the morning until midnight, I was doing only income-producing activities. I wasn't trying to make and say, oh, I'm working all these hours. My eyes hurt. But you're only sitting there surfing the frickin' internet or social media or whatever you're doing. The only thing that matters is making phone calls in my business, making phone calls, sending emails, and following up. Whatever you're doing, you got to find out what that income-producing activity is. If you're in a sales position for your company, what is that? How can you sell more outside of the normal hours you're putting in? But for me, it's full-time, it's 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. If you're part-time, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. That is what a burst looks like. And we're only asking you to sustain that level of passion, that level of push for 90 days. For 90 days. I'm telling you, you will be amazed at what you can produce, and you'll never be the same again. How many of you guys, some of the people that work with me, how many of you guys have done this before? And what are some of the results that you've gotten out of this 90-day burst? I hope you guys are willing to share this with all of us. And some of you guys have had JJ Cruz 12 hours. You saying you want to do more than that, or you're already working a job 12 hours? What I'm telling you, JJ, is this. Every waking hour you spend has to be on this 90-day burst for those 90 days. Every waking hour that you spend. So, again, you've got to negotiate with your family, make sure that you've got everybody on board with you. You've got to cut out all distractions to make this happen. So, again, who are you going to call? What are you going to do to follow up? And actually doing it. So I'm going to ask you guys for any questions you have. I've got a couple minutes here. I want to keep this as short as possible. I'm trying to keep this down to about 45 minutes because Instagram doesn't like us when we go too long. But I'm going to tell you the things that so every morning I would wake up. Now, every morning I had to remind myself why I was doing it. When I said, step number 1 is you create your big enough reason why, I had to remind myself because I didn't see results. You guys remember my first story back in 1992? So let me ask you this question. How many of you would pay the price like I just talked about, 16 hours a day, 6 days a week? And, I mean, I was literally, I remember driving back. This is back probably the second month in, and I was actually out talking to people, doing seminars, all kinds of stuff. And I remember driving back in the winters, in wintertime, and I'm driving back, and I remember driving through a small town in Kansas and seeing, I had my window down. I was so freaking tired. My window was down. I had my hand out the window so it would hopefully get frostbite a little bit and keep me awake. And I would see all these chimneys and fireplaces around Christmas. And I'm like, why am I doing this? So one thing I didn't tell you is for those 90 days, my initial 90-day burst, guess how much money I made? I made zero. For the first 8 months, in that business, the first 8 months, I made $32 and change. How many of you would put in that much energy for $32? Not just a 90-day burst, but keeping the momentum of probably I cut back maybe 2/3 of that schedule. So putting in maybe 12 hours a day, for example, and would do that for 10 months, almost 11 months. Now, my 11th month, because of all the momentum that I had created, I started cultivating the results from that, was over $34,000 in income. And it kept growing from there. By my second year, over $1 million. Do you have enough faith to keep pushing, to keep growing it, and to keep pushing yourself to your limits of what you can accomplish? As I mentioned before, do you think Michael Phelps, do you think Michael Jordan loved every single day shooting free throws for how many that he would throw, and then push himself with his workouts, and then close his eyes and do another 100 in his head? I never ever will tell you or sell you on the fact that it's easy. I will never sell you on any of this shit is easy. What I'm selling you on is that it is worth it. That 90 days can change your life. It'll create so much momentum. You'll know what you can do and what you're capable of. You'll learn. No matter what you're doing, you're going to become an expert at it. You're going to become an expert at it. Do you have any questions or comments? Let me scroll down here. As normal, you're all sleeping, so I don't have any questions or comments. I'm seeing Robert Buckholz with his burst here. I know Mo's done his bursting. He's done several of these over the career with me, and it's amazing to watch what he's been able to accomplish in that time frame. I'm telling you, you can compress, I'll say it again, 2 years in 3 months if you do this right. And because of so much momentum and the people that you're working with and the things that you're doing, you will get good at this. You'll become an expert at it. Every single one of you, no matter what you're doing, can become an expert in anything if you're in the fire for 90 days straight. The two things again today: 21 days to form a habit, 90 days to create a lifestyle. You can become amazing in 90 days. You can become somebody totally different in 90 days. You can create so much momentum that your income, because again, what you're doing is you're compressing time. My goal was not to make and have $10 million in the bank. My goal, I will say, when I was 20, maybe 21, 22, was to create 10 streams of income, all making me 6 figures, and my goal was to have at least $10 million in investments. Now, I blew it all in my 20s, and I started learning the investment side of it, the one thing I needed to learn, which is why I tried teaching you guys to forego all the pain of what I had to do to lose everything I had and start over again. And having 2 failures in my career, I can save you a lot of headache, because if I would have looked at the numbers, I would have inspected what I expected to have happen. I would have looked at the demographics of it, not just got into my passion mode of what I wanted to do, but actually looked at the numbers and paid myself first and invested, understood taxes to a degree so I could monitor who was handling my taxes at the time. My life would be a different. But I had to learn, and sometimes you have to learn the hard way. But my mentor taught me those 2 things back when I was 18 years old. 21 days to form a habit and change anything you want in your life, become the person you want to be. So I would say, I want to become a millionaire. He'd say, how does a millionaire think? How do they interact? How do they talk, walk, eat, breathe? What do they do? What habits do they have? And are you willing to pay the price for 21 days to form a new habit? And I started changing my life 21 days at a time, creating all these habits and these rituals that have taken me to where I am today. And so that when I don't feel like it, it's a lot harder for some of you. We're starting from scratch because you haven't created this muscle yet of these habits. All right, so again, share this video to be put in the drawing. We're going to give away $22,000 towards the event to 10 lucky winners. next Monday. You don't have to be available by phone, but you have to be on here and commenting, or we're going to pick new winners. And all you have to do to get your name in the drawing for VIP tickets for you and a significant other, loved one, someone else, a partner with you, all you have to do is be present next Monday and get your name in the drawing. Some of you guys already have a lot of names in there, but all you have to do for today is share this video. Thanks, guys. Hope you got something out of this. I hope you actually utilize this. This will change your life. But again, don't forget about what I shared with you is the order you've got to go in. Number one, why are you going to do it? What's the results you want to get from that 90 days? Number three is do a pre-burst. Figure out, get your family behind you. Spend time with those that are in your life to know that you're going to, for the next 90 days, you're going to be a hermit. And you're going to take massive all-out action and then actually figure out your schedule and actually do it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Looking forward to talking to you guys next Monday. We've got an amazing topic ahead, so we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, everybody.